this week I was originally going to talk about William Jennings Bryan and the Scopes trial, but I started reading more and more about it and became more interested in H.L. Mencken. So instead I'm going to focus on Mencken and how he created the image of the fundamentalist stereotypes during the Scopes trial. William Jennings Bryan was a politician and lawyer who fought to keep the teaching of evolution out of public school systems. Bryan believed that the social implications of Darwinism constituted a threat that vastly overshadowed any specific difficulties relating to the interpretation of Scripture. Bryan argued for the prosecution of John Scopes. John Scopes was a substitute high school teacher who was charged with breaking the Butler Act by teaching evolution in a state-funded school. This court case was actually more about fundamentalist versus modernist than it was actually about John Scopes and the law he broke. In this case, Bryan's is an example of the fundamentalist, where Clarence Darrow, who was John Scopes' defense attorney, is the example of a modernist. But H.L. Mencken, who is a Baltimore journalist and a secular individual, would lead people with his writings to create a new image of fundamentalists. Mencken would actually make Bryan's case against Scopes into a satire in the newspaper. Mencken had hoped to use his fame and talent to assist in the destruction of Protestant fundamentalists. The image Mencken created of the trial and fundamentalists at large remained mired for decades in both academic historiography and popular culture. Some of the stereotypes created by Mencken during the trial were conservative Protestants are Ku Klux theologians, believing the earth is flat and infested with witches, and that Christianity is founded on hate. Mencken used this kind of extremist language to paint fundamentalists as a backward science deniers. Mencken did more to discredit the fundamentalists than modernists, and he did this by pushing them into a narrow stereotype. This stereotype would actually have lasting effects on fundamentalists and Christians as a whole. Mencken's deeply flawed but compelling caricature of the fundamentalist movement and the Scopes trial held sway even among academic historians and became part of the legacy of the Scopes trial. If you're interested in learning more about Mencken and what he called the monkey trial, you can actually check out the Library of Congress, where they have caricatures from the Scopes trial.
Here is one of the caricatures called Evolution in Tennessee, made by Clifford Kennedy Berryman in 1925.
And if you would like to read Mencken's reports of the trial, archive.org actually has the full text of all of Mencken's coverage of the case from June to September of 1925. And some of these titles are very provocative, such as the article, Trial as Religious Orgy, where Mencken equates the fundamentalist work on the case was pleasure. I'm going to warn that these articles paint Christians into an extremely negative stereotype. Well, I hope you gained something out of this week's video post. See you next week.